I like to give it just a moment of pause or a moment of silence while I let all the streams catch up and go out into the world. How's everybody doing? I hope you're well. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Evita, and this is a live broadcast from syncopatedcity.com. Syncopated City is an online online school for Lindy Hop and swing dance lessons that I run with my dance partner Michael Jagger and my husband Simon Powis. If you're watching or if you're out there in the world, I'd love for you to comment and say hello. Let me know where you are, how you're doing. I'll be able to see those in the comments. It's a beautiful day in New York City. It's starting to get a little on the warmer side, which is exciting. That's why I'm wearing a sleeveless dress today. And I'm really excited. I have a very cool guest today. I'm excited to talk to him, Danny Jonokuchi, and I will, of course, check and make sure that I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Danny is a musician, and I think he's a musical arranger, and he lives here in New York City. And he has done this really cool music video project, which was released about a week ago. And I want to talk to him about the process because I'm sure those of you online, you've seen a lot of interesting, cool video projects coming out because we have to. That's our outlet for creativity. So I was super excited when Danny showed interest in wanting to do this. So let's give him a call and we'll get this interview going. In the meantime, hello, Claudia. Good to see you. Hello, Alex from Colorado. And we have a Danny. Hi, Danny. I'm gonna switch over to our dual screen. Look at you. You look fantastic.
Thank you. Likewise.
Ah, thank you. Thank you very much. Wow, what cool backdrop. You've got at
Yeah,
least three instruments behind you.
I think more than that. I think there's I don't know what you can see, but there's a trombone here. We got a guitar and a piano and trumpet and a flugobone. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Well, definitely looks like the house and the home of a musician. Um,
Yes.
Danny, I'm so excited to do this and to have you here and talking about this really cool music video project that you did.
Yeah.
Tell me, first of all, is this your first time to ever create and do a project like this?
I think that in a sense, yes. With a full big band recording from home plus dancers, I haven't done anything like this, and nothing has prepared me for it. So,
Well,
yeah,
so maybe in case we're going to watch the video in just a little bit, but
yeah,
maybe in case people have not seen the video and they don't know what it's
sure.
about, do you want to explain it?
Absolutely. So I kind of had this idea to do something. It just started with like, okay, well, the band we had shows of course throughout the summer that were canceled, and we were just kind of like sitting at home twiddling our thumbs. And I thought it would be great to do something together in any sense. And then Patrick Solori of Prohibitions Productions asked me if I wanted to do something, and I said, you know what, I've been thinking about doing a video, and it kind of inspired me because it gave me a deadline, and deadlines are the best because then things actually get done. And he said, it just has to be this long and whatever, like didn't give me any parameters. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to put together like a big band and also ask a number of dancers, because that's such a big part of the band's, mission and goal is to just to be inspired by dancers and to play. So I thought, gee, why don't we put this all together into one big video? So it's combined everybody recording from home individually, musicians, and then we sent the track over to all of the dancers that then recorded from homes, and then we put it all together for this one mashup video. Yeah.
Which is amazing. That is so much work, Danny. I mean, first of all, the number of people alone, like in total, how many human beings would you say were part of making this artistic feat happen?
Yeah, I think Total, it was about 35 people and
Oh
a
my God.
couple other people that also helped that are not in the video and things like that. So there were more people involved even than that. Um, a big part of it for me was just that I was really lucky that I took one audio recording class in college, and this was like something that was required of all the musicians. And I was kind of like, okay, I'll take an audio class. But I ended up really enjoying it. And I learned how to record and how to make home recordings. And now, 10 years later, I've actually spent a lot of that time here in New York developing a home studio and doing all this recording. So, you asked if I had done a project like this. I've done a lot of recording and a lot of production and things like that, but I haven't done it remotely with so many people. So a big part of it was just that a lot of the challenges and a lot of the time was just trying to get everybody on the same page. Like some people were like, "Great, okay, I've got it. I'll send you the thing." Some people were like, "How do I record from home? How does this microphone work?" And
And you're talking
so
specifically about the musicians in that moment.
in that moment, yes,
Yeah.
when I was just talking about the gear that it took, and I think it definitely has shifted a lot of musicians' kind of whole thing where now we can't perform live. What do we do? And I've been really fortunate to have been doing this kind of research and learning for the last really decade. So I was able to help out a lot of my friends and peers kind of get their setups going so where they could start playing from home and hopefully have some income even just from doing things like recording and doing live streams and things like that.
Yeah,
So yeah,
that is huge. I love the story about, university, college, or school days back, when you're taking some random class and you just can't imagine how you're going to use it in the future. I have a similar feelings because I have a degree in film production and theater
yes,
and really haven't touched either at all. And then all of a sudden, here we are, like editing and making videos. So I
yeah.
love that story. Like you never know how it's going to come back to help you.
Absolutely.
Also,
I don't know when algebra is going to help me or like some of the classes I took like that, but that music audio production class was really something that I'm just so glad I took, and it's become so relevant in these times. Yeah.
yeah, and Danny, that's incredibly kind and generous and thoughtful of you because not only, of course, you were helping your friends to create this project, but putting out, the education and experience and even practice time, if you will, for so many of your colleagues to, as you say, continue to make music in this
Yeah.
time. Did you already have all the equipment that you needed, or did you have to invest or collect or borrow?
So I've had everything I've needed because I've been doing projects like this over the years, whether it's recording for Broadway things or for film and TV. I record a lot from home to begin with, so I've kind of got a setup here, and this is my music room.
Yeah,
Um, but a lot of the musicians didn't, and some of them had absolutely zero experience. So in that case, I ended up actually buying them gear and just saying, just what's your address? Let me just send you everything you need, or in some cases, I did a safe drop off of some microphones. I rode my bike around Brooklyn and just said, "Here's everything you need." I washed it. Take it, record with it, use it for what you will, and it's been so much fun because, um, like today, I've had actually 3 phone calls with different musicians. We're working on the next video, and I talked to 3 different musicians about their setup and helping them get their recording together. So it's also just been a way to keep in touch with people. It's been so
yeah.
nice to have a project and to be like, okay, hey, let's work on this, but also just like, how's it going? How are you doing? What's it like being stuck inside? And that community element of involving all these people has been the most important part of it for me.
Well, and that was huge. I mean, I have seen other video projects go out online, which is great, which is fantastic. But
Yeah.
I don't think I have seen anything to the scale that you created. And is it true that pretty much everybody was kind of local New Yorker? Is that
Mostly, I would say, I think there was one musician that was in LA,
wow,
Jason
cool.
Fabus, who plays that amazing tenor saxophone solo. He's in LA, and he works with my big band out in LA, so we work together quite a bit. And I'm trying to think of anyone else. I think mostly everyone else is New Yorkers. Yeah,
Because
so local.
That's really cool because I know that the whole world right now is probably hearing about New York and thinking those
Right.
poor schmucks, they're, like going, but then to see such a beautiful creative piece of art come out and just be like, we're okay, everybody.
Right.
We're stuck in our apartments, but we are okay.
I think that was a big part of it. Just the arc of the actual video, as you'll see in a moment, just is so interesting because I asked everybody. Well, first, I didn't give any of the dancers instructions, and I think that you took it in a beautiful way. I didn't say, solo jazz, dance to this. I just said dance to this track, and at the time it was an unfinished track because the deadline of having this whole project done on time. I sent all of the dancers an unfinished, unmixed, totally raw take. And I said, just dance. And I think that everybody kind of interpreted that in their own way. And then I
Oh,
also asked
we
everyone to
sure
send
did.
just a 10 to 20-second clip of them doing something at home. And
Yeah,
the
you
responses were so funny and unique and it was so much fun to actually watch them all, to just watch our friends do all this, but also just to create some sort of story about, like, yes, you're right, like everyone's looking at New York. It's scary, especially what you're reading on the news when you look at the statistics and numbers, but also New Yorkers are resilient, and the creative types that we are still doing stuff. So that was a really important part of it for me.
Amazing. Well, let's actually see if we can take a look at the video. If
Absolutely.
anybody is out there tuning in, watching, feel free in the comments to let me know how the image and sound is coming across. And here we go. Let's watch this gorgeous
All
piece.
right, enjoy.
So I turned it off before the credits, but if anybody has a chance, you should definitely like watch the video all the way through to the credits because that's where we get to see a lot of the folks doing kind of their random stuff at home. It's worth watching. It's worth watching.
Absolutely. The
But
hijinks.
yes, exactly. Danny, can you tell me a little bit about the editing? So, I mean,
Sure.
how did they? You didn't do the editing.
I did the audio editing, but I had a friend of mine, a musician, great musician, who I worked with on the Broadway musical Be More Chill. We were buddies in the pit, and he kind of specializes in these multi-track videos. His name is Josh Plotner, and he has his own YouTube channel where he plays like hundreds of different woodwind instruments and he films all these things. And I've really enjoyed watching his videos over the years. And I said, you would be perfect for this because you know how to set up the video and use Final Cut, how to edit all these things. And we watched a couple of videos together that we had seen other projects in quarantine, and we kind of just were like, okay, how do we fit this all in? And it was kind of a jigsaw puzzle where we would start, and then we'd be like, okay, let's move things around, and such a fun process.
It's very cool. Very cool. Well, kudos to him and the film editing of it all because I can't imagine him receiving all of the dancers videos plus the musician videos. Like that must have been crazy. And then you mixed all the music, and of course, you were telling us that
Yeah.
you already had experience with that, but you still had to. Did you work closely with Josh to sync up the musicians' video playing, obviously, with their sound?
Yeah, so I was able to we recorded this all to a click track as you have to do in these times. So everybody gets kind of a demo, and the way it started is kind of interesting. Like, who goes first? Like, who has to record to nothing, basically? And so I actually had a friend record just a scratch drum track to a click. So it was just click, 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 and then he listens to the recording, and I gave him the sheet music, and I said, basically you're gonna kind of fake it, play along with this click track, and play all the drums. And then once we had the drums, then I think we started adding some fake instruments. So I played an upright bass sound and keyboard sound on my keyboard here. So I made fake bass and fake keyboards, and then we had drums, and then we started adding some of the horns. And it was a real challenge to figure out, which of the horns goes first. And then so that person can hear that person, and then after that person goes, then it can go to that person. And it's hard when you're on a deadline because you're kind of waiting to see who records first. And if you only have like a day or two to get this done, it's like, okay, once this person records, then they can go, and then they can go. So
Wow.
basically, what we did is then all the horns recorded, and then to make it like really pop, I feel like a lot of quarantine videos are tough because they can be kind of sterile sometimes. It doesn't feel like the musicians are really interacting. That's such a big part of jazz, and it's such a big part of music in general, is be able to listen to people and interact and then to give back. So for those people that recorded first, it's not very fun and exciting if they're just playing along to nothing. So what we actually did is then we had some of the rhythm section record last again, have them re-record. So we took out some of the recorded parts, and then so they can hear the whole band. And I think that that really adds so much of the energy because then there's this sense of like, energy that you're building off each other. So it's a process and it takes a little bit longer, but I think that it makes something a little bit more organic feeling, even though we're not in the same room.
Danny,
Um,
that's brilliant. That's brilliant. And you're absolutely right. That's one of the saddest parts about quarantine is that, you can create and film yourself and make, interesting things, but we're all missing that interaction. That's a
right.
brilliant way of handling it and basically like tossing the ball back again, even to the people who recorded first. And wow,
Yeah.
I didn't think about, who records first and having to play alone.
Right. It can be anything. And I think people try different things. But for this, I felt like, having drums, something that we all want to hear. And if you've ever heard what fake drums sound like or a drum machine, it's not very fun to play with. So being able to play with the rhythm of the drums is the most important. And then from there, we all just kind of build it and build it. And then got to give the drummer some love and let him go last again. Have the drums play with all the energy of the solos and really be able to hear, especially the improvised solos. That's where it's most important, I feel like, to build where this person wants to go up and everybody can kind of feel that energy.
Mm, yeah, I get that. I get that. Well,
Yeah.
great way of harnessing it. So
Yeah.
you keep talking about the time crunch. How
Mhm.
much time did you have? How fast or how long did this take?
Yes, I think, well, I kind of redid the arrangement. That was the first thing I did. So I kind of scaled it down a little bit. If you don't know, so this is based on a piece of classical music by the composer Bizet, and it's very different sounding. And in 1941, the Les Brown band, big band, recorded this arrangement of it. So this is not an original arrangement. It's something that's been around for some time. I kind of adapted it a little bit and changed a couple notes here and there to make it work for this size. But um, yeah, so sorry, what was your question again?
Oh,
I got,
no, no. I'm super glad about can I know it's hard to pronounce, but this song is
yes,
based after a classical piece
that's
called
right. I can't even pronounce it, and I'm not going to try. But if you type in um, actually, if you go to the YouTube video, I linked everything in there. There's the full
Okay.
description. So if you go to the YouTube video, it's all in there. I'm not going to
Okay.
butcher anyone's
No, that's
names or any operas or any pieces because it is difficult.
Gotcha. No, and sorry to put you on the spot, but I have been, and those people who have been on syncopatedcity.com, they know that I have been on this geeky um, quest to find like either pop songs or swing songs that are taking snippets from classical music or folk music. And so I'm just all
Absolutely.
excited because I was like, wait a minute, this totally sounds familiar. So we'll check that
Yes.
out. But my
Absolutely.
question, Danny, was how much time did you have? What was the crunch
Right.
time? How long did it take?
So after rearranging it, after getting the musicians together, I think we recorded it all in about a week. And then
Wow.
after we had the song, then the dancers, I think I gave everybody about half a week. And then it was a week of video editing before the premiere. So I think it was
Okay.
about 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks total. Yeah,
Yeah. And was the full intention always for it to premiere at the Prohibition Productions salon?
absolutely. That was the whole inspiration for it all because I knew um, for me, playing alone at home for an audience for a live stream event is not very fun. I'm a trumpet player. I don't have accompaniment. So I really wanted to bring in the whole band, and I felt like this was the best way to bring everyone in to record.
That's really cool. Well, you
Yeah.
had a great motivation to make this project happen. Do you said that you might be working on another project, and not only do I want to know about that, but what is the push if there's no deadline, or do you have another sort of debut spot
Yeah,
for it?
that's right. It's going to be June 13th. That's not this Sunday, but the following Sunday. We're going to do
Uh-huh.
another Prohibition Productions virtual variety show premiere.
Ah, great.
So yeah, it is another deadline,
It is
and
another deadline. That's
I'm
true.
actually working on it. Like right now, I'm getting texts from musicians that are they're saying, okay, I've recorded, I'm ready, I've done it. So as crazy as it was this together, I loved the reaction from people. I loved the response from people from different communities around the world that have watched it, and it inspired me. I just said, let's do it again. I've definitely taken some sleepless. Some of the musicians have problems recording during daytime because of neighbors or because of this, that, and the other. So some of them actually record like really late at night, and so it's been this crazy thing that everybody's kind of having to go the extra mile to put these videos together. But it's so much fun.
I gotcha. Can you tell us anything about this next one, or do you want it to be a surprise? And the reason why I
Yeah.
ask is because as an artist, as a musician, are you going to just kind of, do it again but a different song? Or what did you learn from the first take and what are you going to change up this second round?
I think for this one, it's going to be another song. It's another not original song. I can say that much.
Okay.
And I wanted to do something kind of themed again about New York City, and I wanted to do something that was choreographed. That's the difference for this one, for the dancing. The last one was kind of just, here's the track, take a video of you dancing. This one is choreographed. So that's
Very
going to be June 13th on the Prohibition Productions. Yeah.
amazing. Well, we will all be there. You know, everyone. Patrick Solari is he's a figure here in New York City who just makes things happen. And of course, since being in quarantine, he has still been making things happen. And
It's
so
incredible.
it really is. I think he's had now 5 successful Saturday nights of this Salon series, which used to be a really fabulous live event called the Salon here in New York, and he has since taken it online. And of course, thinking positively instead of negatively, it's allowed him to reach out to artists who are all over the world. And yeah, it's free. All you have to do is just kind of register for this Zoom webinar. And it's every Saturday night. I believe it starts around 6 p.m. and it goes for roughly 2 hours. And I mean, it's an eclectic thing. You know, it's usually based around swing music and swing dancing, but he's had, mixing drinks, and he's had circus acts and sometimes burlesque and singing and even classical. I think one time he had on a classical guitarist, or so it's just a really cool, eclectic variety show.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's also streaming on Facebook as well. So there's a couple different ways to watch it.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, right, right, right. Um,
Yeah.
I have another question for you.
Yeah.
This is kind of a, well, actually, I've got a couple of questions for you. I want to back up a little bit, Danny, to just a
Sure.
little more about you. So you're a trumpet player, but you've got all these instruments in your room. Uh, do you arrange? Do you write? And then you've mentioned Broadway a couple of times. What are you exactly?
Yeah, I like to think of myself as a multi-instrumentalist, but I'm only really good at one, and that's the trumpet. But I also play some piano and sing and play a little bit of the low brass instruments, a little bit of trombone and this rare instrument, the flugobone. And that was part of what I did when I was performing in this Broadway show, Be More Chill, that was just on Broadway last year. I was also playing the theremin, which is a kind of crazy synthesizer instrument where it has two. Uh, Basically, they read electromagnetic waves in the air, so you don't touch it, and you use your hands to manipulate the volume and the pitch. So I was playing that and the trumpet and this flugobone on Broadway. Um, but I also really love composing and arranging. I think that's really always been one of my big passions is writing music and arranging some of my favorite songs into new ways. And so I lead a couple of different bands. I lead my own 17-piece big band, as well as I co-lead a band in New York that's also 17-piece called the New Alchemy Jazz Orchestra. So I'm always keeping busy playing, but also I just love to write and to write for some of my favorite artists and musicians and things like that. Yeah.
Wow, very cool, Danny. I didn't know that you did so many different things. That's amazing. But I guess you have to in New York City. I mean, you just gotta like, yeah, what do you need? Now you're
Yeah.
a, now you're also a recording artist and editing and mixing music and producing stuff. So
Yeah.
who knows where this is going to push you. That's kind of another question I have, which is that clearly you've got these phenomenal projects that you've been working on, but how else has quarantine life affected you as a working musician in New York City?
Yeah. Well, it's definitely been tough. Planning ahead and being a band leader is really hard. We still have a couple shows for 2020 that have not been canceled, but of course the majority of them have. Um, Kind of being responsible for people's schedules has been really hard, but also just obviously having no income is definitely difficult. And I think that this whole thing has kind of forced me to more creatively, not only just about my music, but also just about the career itself. So I think these making the videos and kind of staying active has given me something positive to kind of focus on. But I've also been really fortunate to have a very close practice space from my apartment here in Brooklyn. It's 2 blocks away. It has like this 9 foot Steinway grand piano and a drum set, and you can play at all hours. So I've been going there quite frequently to just work on music and get better. I want to come out of this thing a much better musician than when I started. So I go there, I practice my singing. I've been taking some singing lessons. I've been taking arranging lessons with some people, and I just want to get better. I think that a big part of it for me with music in general has always been I haven't just been a trumpet player. I love all different styles of music. I love different types of performing. I like theater. I like dance. So all of these different interests have kind of let me into different parts of the music world and things like that. So I want to just take the time here as much as I can just to get better at all of
Yeah.
that.
Danny, that is fantastic. That's really inspiring. And yeah, Derek just wrote. Derek Leon Washington writes, "Yeah, man, staying positive, amazing. We
Yeah.
have to. And I think what a fabulous way, because a fabulous way of using the time. Because quite often we wouldn't take the time to practice so much. We certainly wouldn't take the time to develop new skills that we didn't have. Um, Alyssa says, "I love when you sing. So good."
Thanks, Alyssa.
Ah, yeah. Um, do you think do you think that these videos and that your art and what you're putting out there has an effect on the community, especially the New York City community?
I hope so. That's definitely 100% the goal of all of this that I'm doing. It's what really drives me to do all of it is to be able to just bring people together in just making the projects, but also for everybody that's just watching, just to enjoy, to see people together, to see people doing what they love. I think that I've talked with a lot of the musicians about this at least, and practicing is what we're doing now, and practicing is what we're doing always. But the shows are what make it all worthwhile. Performing is really the release of all this.
Yeah,
Practicing is stressful. It's you're always thinking, oh, I'm terrible. Oh, this is the worst. Why can't I do this? But then when you play and you play with people, you go, oh, okay, this is all
it's
worth
that.
it. All those
Yeah,
hours sitting in a practice room, all makes sense. So all of this collaborating is really what drives it. That if the community can come together in this way to celebrate all these wonderful things that we do as artists, then it's all worth it for me.
yeah. I think that's true. Finding meaning right now to what we do and
Right?
finding ways of connecting right now.
It's hard. It's
Yeah,
very hard, and for everybody, it's been different. I mean, part of it just of working with people. Some people are like, I don't want to get out of bed, and some people are like, I'm constantly working on something, and just the response is so different. But I think we all just want to, kind of put something out there.
yeah, yeah. I love how you're already fantasizing about the transformed version of you that will come out of this.
Hopefully, it's something that's better than the last. We'll see.
Very cool. I okay, so I'm thinking, am I satisfied? Are all of my questions answered? You also mentioned that you had work or a big band in LA?
Yeah, so I'm actually from LA. I grew
Okay,
up
okay.
in Agora Hills, California.
Yeah, I
And
know Agora Hills.
yeah, have you been to Agora Hills?
Say again?
Have you been to Agora Hills? You've heard of it?
I know Agora Hills because I lived in LA for about 2 years back in
Wow.
like 2002, 2003. So I know Agora Hills, but I have not like been there. But I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's on the radar.
It's a nice place. It's not too far from the beach. It's great sunny weather. It was a wonderful place to grow up, and I was really
Yeah.
fortunate to get to know a lot of people that worked in the movie industry. So a lot of
Mm,
my musical upbringing was from people that were playing in all of the movies. The people I was studying with were all of the film musicians, and so that was just such an amazing thing that these legendary musicians either lived in my town or not too far, and I was able to study with them on a regular basis. And such a great way
wow.
to learn jazz and music in general. Yeah.
So really big question. This might be a
Yeah.
silly question, but I'm genuinely curious. how are cinematic musicians, like musicians who gig for the movies, TV,
Mhm.
movies, how are they different from live jazz musicians? And really, like, are they the same?
Hmm. Yeah, that's a really good question. I think that kind of having this experience of both working in New York and LA has taught me a lot about different types of musicians. And I think that, well, maybe this is generally, I think that generally people that work in film more often are much more ready for quarantine, that they generally have better setups, that they've been doing a lot more recording, that they're more familiar with this process. A lot of musicians that were just used to touring, used to playing around town, now they're like, wait, how do I still be creative at home? And that now they're starting, and it's so funny because some of the gear that you can buy for home recording has gone like insanely back ordered. Like we've tried to buy things for recording from home, and we get a call. They say, "Yeah, you're not going to get that for like 2 months because every musician is doing this." So I feel like people that work in film probably, as a general thought, are more used to this. Yeah,
Right, that's really interesting. Huh, it's a good point.
yeah,
Man, Danny, well, I'm really excited about the new project coming up on
me
June
too.
13th. That's going to be
Me,
super cool.
right
Uh,
after we get off this, I'm going to be working on it. So
yeah,
I
I
can't wait to
bet.
share it.
Yeah, well, I shouldn't keep you for too much longer, so you can get to it. But if people want to keep in touch with you, find you, maybe even have more of a listen to your music, where can they go?
Well, everything from the Revisionists, which is the name of the band for this project, is on Bandcamp. So we actually released Bizet Has His Day as a single. You can check that out, and we released an album. Other than that, you can find me on Instagram, or you can follow the Revisionists on Facebook, or check out our YouTube channel for more videos and things like that.
And and should they type in your name, Danny Jonokuchi, or should they type in revisionists?
On Facebook, you can type in either my name or the Revisionists. On Instagram, just my name, Danny at Danny Jonokuchi. On YouTube, it's also just my name at Danny Jonokuchi. But you can also find videos by searching the band name. Yeah,
Super easy, super easy. Well, Danny, this was great. Thank you for putting in the time and the stress to wrangle all of these people together because I know that that alone is a feat, and it takes a lot of willpower, and it takes also a lot of courage to see it through, and I really appreciate that because I was one of the dancers in it, and
yes,
I just really loved knowing that I was dancing to music that I knew you guys were playing and that other of my friends were also dancing to, and the final finished product was just really beautiful, really cool, and really like a great collection of the energy of New Yorkers right now being stuck at home. So thank
yeah.
you for
I'm
doing that.
so glad you could do it. Your dancing is amazing, and
Thanks, Danny. It was a pretty funny, real quick story because I think you might find it funny. I at the time when the invitation came in to send you something, I was like, yes, I want to, but I was really crunched for time because I was working on some other stuff,
right.
and also I think it was in a time where I was feeling super low and thinking, I don't know what to do with myself, and I definitely can't dance at home, and it's just not the same, and basically in a sad, negative place. And
Mm-hmm.
so the video that I sent to Danny is pretty silly because I was just being really truthful and honest about how I was feeling, and I
It's
was
amazing.
yeah, I was dancing and moving around, but I wouldn't call it solo jazz. At one point, I was, talking to my cup of coffee. So,
Yeah.
um, but let me tell you what happened. I thought the footage was really interesting, and of course, you used it and spliced it and took the parts that were helpful for your project, and of course, it's
Mhm.
laid onto your music. But I took that same footage and
That's right.
completely like mashed it within itself and put it onto some other music. And I turned that into a whole nother project that I released for Prohibition Production Salon last Saturday night called
Yeah.
Meditational Movement. And I just wanted to share that story with you because
Yeah.
your nudge and your invitation, your request to partake in something creative was like the key or in the door that opened up another creative thing for me. And I feel like all of us all over the world right now, we're doing that for each other. We're nudging each other, poking each other, encouraging and reminding the world that we can still play and we can still connect and we can still make
Absolutely.
art. And so that's what you did, and that's what you did with
Yeah.
35 plus people. And I want to thank you for that because then
Oh,
it has sparked a couple of other fires.
oh, well, thank you. I'm so glad that it turned out to be amazing, and that video was incredible. So I'm just so glad that that means it was a success for me. That it did what I wanted it to do. So that's
Thank you.
amazing.
Yeah. Well, keep going, Danny. Keep doing this because as you know, we just don't know how the trickle or the ripple will impact somebody later.
Yeah,
Cool. Awesome.
absolutely.
Well, I wish you a great rest of your day and good luck on this new project. Everybody, be sure to tune in to the salon on June 13th so that we can see Danny's new music video project.
It's gonna be a good one, I promise.
I can't wait. Thanks, Danny.
All right, thank you, Avita.